Today, we're gonna try something fun with this mix I'm working on by creating some dreamy, atmospheric spatial effects. You've definitely heard these types of effects on mixes before, but it can be tricky to figure out exactly how to get them just right. Because the trick is getting it to sound massive and spacious without sounding muddy. So in this video, I'm gonna show you some very easy ways to do this, and I'll break it down step by step so that you can follow along and try this out in your own session. Let's get started. Here's the lo-fi track I'm working on. Take a listen. It sounds really cool, but there's something empty about it, and it doesn't have that dreamy feel. This melody is really nice. I love the vocal line, but because everything is so dry, it just doesn't have that dreamy feel that I want. So the first thing I need to do is identify some elements in the mix where we might be able to apply this type of effect. And the first one that comes to mind is this guitar, because it's melodic, it's not too busy already. We might be able to do something here. So one trick I like to use when I'm creating these types of textures is to duplicate the track and try pitching it up 1 octave. So I'll transpose it up 12 semitones. Then I'll load Supernova on this duplicated track with the octave up. And I know I want this layer to sound completely washed out. So there's this algorithm I really like for this. It's the cathedral algorithm. So we're gonna flip over to that one, and then let's just go crazy with the reverb time. So with this massive reverb, we're getting this beautiful sound on this guitar layer. I want to clean up the lows a little bit. I just want to make sure that we don't get muddy, so I'll cut the low color a little bit. So already I love how this sounds. Let's blend it in with the original track. Another cool thing we can do here is a little bit of OTT after this massive space. And this is just going to completely crush the dynamics in a really pleasant way. It's going to create this kind of pad-like atmosphere. So I like what that's doing tonally and dynamically. Let's listen in the context of the mix. So it's just adding this layer that you kind of feel in the mix. It's not necessarily front and center, but it creates this giant atmosphere that just kind of fits in all the cracks of the rest of the mix and makes it feel so much bigger. And since this is a texture layer, it's not something that you should immediately hear when you hear the track. It's meant to be kind of this background ambience that just fills the spaces and makes it sound even bigger. So I'm going to look for another element in this mix to do something similar with, and I think this ARP Pluck is really cool. It's these kind of arpeggiated synth plucks. It sounds really cool, but it would be even better with a massive reverb on it. Now I'm imagining this being kind of like a bubbling up effect. And for this type of sound, I would usually go with something like the Hollywood algorithm. This one is super clear. It's got an amazingly smooth tail on it, so it'll ring out really nicely, especially with a long reverb like this. And I actually really like the delay, what that's adding to it as well. Now I might try a different delay on this, maybe like a tape delay. And this modern tape is really good here because you can hear that with each repeat, it's kind of degrading the sound a little bit. It's just kind of falling further back in the mix, whereas a digital delay is just going to be an exact copy of every repeat. So this one has just a little bit more depth in this instance. Take a listen before and after Supernova. Now that already sounds massive, but one way we can get it to sound even bigger is with the custom routing. For example, if I send the reverb output into the delay, then we're just going to be kind of multiplying that output every time with a new delay tap. Take a listen to what this sounds like. We get this kind of cool traveling effect also because we have ping pong on. So we're kind of getting even more taps happening. We can also do it the other way though. So if we want the output of the delay into the input of the reverb, we can hear what that sounds like. And I can even do like a custom millisecond delay here, something a little bit tighter, maybe with a higher feedback. So it completely changes the character of the effect that we're getting. But that's one of the cool things about the custom routing is that we can decide if we want it to be parallel or in one of these series options. Now for this particular track, I really like this kind of bubbling effect we get in parallel, especially with that ping pong delay kind of echoing out on either side. It just creates this really wide feel. And I forgot I had the feedback way up. That's actually really cool as well. But I do like it a little bit tighter. So let's take a listen to this in the context of the mix. So again, it's just contributing to that dreamy sense. Now, one of the things I want to mention is both of these things we've done so far haven't been the forefront of the mix. And that's one of the tricks with creating this dreamy atmospheric feel, is that probably the reverb or whatever dreamy kind of effect you're putting on it isn't meant to be the forefront of the mix. You're not meant to hear it immediately, because if you do, then it might start to sound kind of muddy and unclear. You can tell that we still have complete clarity in this mix. It's just that now it has this dreamy atmospheric layer on top of it, which creates that sense of depth. So look for things in the mix that you can apply this on in subtle ways that are going to create this effect. You don't want to drench everything in reverb, otherwise you won't get that same effect. I can also look for ways to use a little more subtle reverb in order to enhance the depth. And I'm thinking about this vocal sample. I think we could do something here. Baby, when the morning comes, I've got places I need to be. It's this kind of resampled vocal. It's very dry sounding right now. And tonally, this vocal is very thinned out already. It sounds like it's already been filtered pretty heavily. And so what I want to do is apply a reverb that adds a bit more thickness. And one of my favorites for that is this choral chamber. It's a really thick, dense reverb. Sounds nice. It can really fill out a sound. So I really like what that's doing. You can see I've got a shorter reverb time on it. I'm not really wanting this reverb to ring out forever. I just want it to kind of bring a sense of space to the vocal that's already there. So you can see by just adding these effects in strategic places within the mix, we can completely transform it from dry and kind of dead sounding to a really atmospheric, spacey feel. Take one more listen before and after these reverbs. So it just adds that next layer of depth and space to a mix. And even though they're kind of subtly applied, it's actually an amazing difference that you get when you hear it with and without. All of a sudden, when you remove it, you feel like you're missing an entire element in the mix. And that's how you know that you're using the right amount. Not necessarily that you can hear it jump out at you when you hear it by itself, but more so that when you take it away, you really miss it. And that's how you know it's really adding something to the mix. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you learned something, give it a like, leave us a comment, and subscribe for more tutorials like this. As always, happy mixing.